Central Coast News right now. This is breaking news.
Two fire trucks collided in Monterey Park in Los Angeles just about 2 hours ago. One of these trucks was sent flying into a dumpling restaurant. 14 people are reported injured, one critically. The trucks were reportedly responding to a call for a fire when this crash happened. Several of the injured may be firefighters.
And more breaking news right now. This one locally, a major traffic snarl on Highway 68 after several cars were involved in a crash near Jocelyn Canyon Road. CHP and Monterey police responded to the scene, and the roadway was closed in both directions for over an hour. The CHP is reporting that patients were being cared for in the roadway, but we are waiting on an injury update from Monterey police. Also
impacting commuter traffic right now, some eye coverage on scene as a single car rollover crash on Highway 1 at Lightfighter in Marina. Marina police are on scene. At least one lane of Highway 1 is being shut down. According to witnesses, the gray SUV is still on its roof on the southbound side.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Cota-Robles.
And I'm Jasmine Veal. A quiet neighborhood was awakened by gunshots in the middle of the night. The result? One more homicide in Seaside.
Investigators are still trying to figure out exactly what happened. Central Coast News reporter Ricardo Navarro went back to the neighborhood today. And Ricardo, neighbors worry violence is spilling over to more parts of the city.
Yeah, that's right, Mark and Jazz. Neighbors have heard of violent crimes happening in other parts of the city, but now they worry that with a fatal shooting happening right on their street, that this means more is to come. Still, some say this was just an isolated incident.
Easton Isidore is passionate about his Seaside community, so much so that he decided to open up Off the Hook Burgers, smack in the middle of the city.
This is where we were raised, born, and families and grandmothers and uncles and aunties.
So it didn't take long for this Seaside resident to hear about the violence just up the hill.
It concerns me about the community safety of children and families here, and also businesses as well.
Last night, Seaside police responded to reports of multiple gunshots on San Pablo and Shawnee Court. When police arrived, they say they found a man lying in the street with gunshot wounds to his back. Neighbors told me they all ran out when they heard the commotion. None of them knew the 35-year-old victim. According to nearby residents, this is the victim's car. They think he parked it here and said a series of events nearby must have led to the deadly shooting. Too afraid to go on camera, one neighbor said she never imagined being scared of retaliation.
But, I think that's an isolated incident. I don't think it has anything to do with the store or a business here.
This is the second homicide in the city this year. Isidore says some may be shaken up about that, but he believes community members here will keep working hard to keep the violence away from their homes.
We have to pay attention, and pay attention means protecting our families, protecting each other.
The investigation is still ongoing. Police do not know how many people were involved with this shooting and have not located a weapon yet. They also are not sure if this is gang related. In the Content Center, Ricardo Navarro, your Central Coast News.
Ricardo, thanks for that. We have told you before that the Seaside Police Officers Association gave a vote of no confidence for Police Chief Vicki Myers, but Seaside is not the only area that she's in charge of. Fast forward to Central Coast News at 6 p.m. Tonight, Pacific Grove officers are rallying around Myers despite that no confidence vote. Ricardo Navarro will have more on what their show of support means. Again, that's tonight on the news at 6. The man accused of secretly recording teen girls undressing at his Santa Cruz surf shop was supposed to be back at court this morning, but Dylan Griner's arraignment was continued. Now court proceedings have been delayed until July. His defense attorneys have requested a pre-plea report to be done by the probation office. That report will take a closer look at Griner's background and life.
Another important case also continued. Antolin Garcia-Torres was supposed to set a date for a trial this afternoon, but it was postponed to June 11th. Garcia-Torres is accused of kidnapping and murdering Morgan Hill teen Sierra Lamar. He has pleaded not guilty. Her body has never been found.
Annette Banda, the woman accused of having sex with a minor, has pleaded no contest. Starting in 2010, Banda started a sexual relationship with a 14-year-old boy who attended Palma High School, which continued for 3 years. She faces 5 years in prison. Her sentencing will be in July.
The hunt is on tonight for whoever is responsible for shooting more than a dozen ducks outside the California Welcome Center in Salinas. 11 of the ducks were killed and 2 more injured ducks were rescued just this morning. And now 2 rewards are being offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspect.
Central Coast News reporter Sydney Daniel headed back out to the pond to find out more about the awful crime.
As we told you on Central Coast News last night, Kathy Martin-Silvey found 11 ducks dead here at the California Welcome Center when she came to work Tuesday morning. After seeing our newscast, a local man called us saying he wants to offer a reward.
Just felt very bad about the situation, and I'm hoping that Salinas police will be able to come up with something.
Today, we brought the 2 of them together on a phone call.
You know, I threw the reward thing out because I think if we can get something going, maybe in that direction, it might stir something up.
A few minutes later, SPCA for Monterey County was back at the duck pond, this time to rescue 2 more injured ducks that were apparently shot last night. The rescued ducks were taken to the SPCA's veterinary clinic for treatment. Of the 11 ducks killed yesterday, 1 tubby was rescued. The SPCA of Monterey allowed us to come inside to see how he's doing. So far, we don't know who hurt these birds, though SPCA told me they believe 2 people were involved. Now they're offering a reward for information in the case.
It appears that there may be a couple of people involved late at night coming out here and shooting the ducks with maybe a pellet gun. So there is a $1,000 reward.
In Salinas, Sydney Daniel, your Central Coast News.
And now take a look at this eye coverage posted to the Take Back Santa Cruz Facebook page. People in Pleasure Point were awakened to the sound of flashbang grenades this morning. FBI agents searched a home on 37th Avenue. We are told that 1 man was arrested on gun-related charges, but for now the criminal complaint is sealed. And now a developing story that we are following. Rescue efforts continued into the night last night after a ferry off the coast of South Korea sank. At least 6 people are dead and 300 others are missing. Some of this video of that rescue effort. Well, many of the passengers were high school students headed to an island resort. Passengers said that they heard a loud boom before that ship capsized. It sank about 2 hours later in frigid water nearly 100 feet deep. Passengers said people were told to stay in place, and those orders might have cost more people their lives.
And Mark, now to this developing story. The man arrested yesterday right near the finish line of the Boston Marathon has been sent to a psychiatric facility for evaluation. He's accused of leaving a backpack behind with a rice cooker inside filled with confetti. Of course, we've been monitoring this new information that's been coming in here since last night. 25-year-old Kayvon Edson is charged with possession of a hoax device. The suspect said the cooker was symbolism and added the performance got the best of me. Well, all this took place on the 1-year anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombings.
He does need some assistance to stabilize himself mentally. However, this gentleman is not a threat.
The Boston community and special guests paid tribute to the victims yesterday. Survivors are vowing to put last year's tragedy behind them, and many will run in next week's race without fear. The Boston Marathon kicks off this Monday, and 36,000 runners will be on the 26.2-mile course through 8 communities. One of those runners, our very own Central Coast News reporter, Cassandra Arsenault.
That's right, Jazz. And now Cassie joining me here at the desk. I mean, you were near the finish line last year when you heard that sound that so many people will never forget. Going back 1 year later.
Well, Mark, one thing I can tell you is that when I rounded the corner last year to cross the finish line, every marathon runner has this adrenaline rush / relief moment when they see the finish line, but that immediately turned into fear and confusion when those bombs went off. So this year's marathon is that much more important to show everyone we're Boston strong and remember those who lost their lives and who might not be able to run again this year.
Wayne Ritchie is a dentist by day, but hidden in his office is a shrine of medals and plaques that show his true passion.
It's like these legs still work, even they're old and slow. At least they still work. I have them.
This 71-year-old has run 50 marathons in his lifetime, but the one he's returned to 9 times is the Boston Marathon.
Boston, I think in everybody's book, is considered #1. It's difficult to get into, if not impossible for most people.
But last year was unlike any marathon he's run. He was at mile 22 when the explosion went off.
My wife was very close to the bomb when it went off.
His wife was shopping by the finish line, and her interest in buying a purse on the 2nd floor saved her life.
And the first door windows were the ones that got blown out on the bomb, so she was right there.
But Wayne says last year's scary turn of events won't stop him from going back this year.
I'm not worried at all in the least.
Wayne says this Boston Marathon will have more meaning than any others he's run in the past.
This is much more significant. It touches me in my heart.
Because he's grateful he lives to run another day.
We're very blessed that us and our friends weren't injured, and we're going back with gratitude in our heart.
Yeah. And he says he'll be thinking of only one thing as he crosses the finish line this year.
It says, Boston strong.
Now, Wayne's ready to go to Boston on Friday. He's really excited. He says this past scare hasn't changed his mind at all. But he did bring up an interesting point. He says, you know, whether you're a runner or not, you either know someone who's running in the Boston Marathon or, you know, you're watching the event on TV. So it's had a big effect across the nation.
All right, let's interview you. You're leaving, what, Thursday, tomorrow?
Yes, I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Boston.
And man, those emotions from last year, I've heard briefly, but your family was also near the finish line.
Yeah, that's what I was most worried about as approaching. I knew you can track your runners, and I knew they were waiting for me to cross. So, you know, it was really that moment, you know, when I finally saw them was one of the best moments of my life.
This year, a goal set as far as the time? Do you have one?
Under 4 hours. That's my goal.
Okay.
So,
good luck.
Thank you.
Have fun. Enjoy it. All right. We should have mentioned that the Big Sur International Marathon is coming up as well here on the Central Coast. It will run along Highway 1 on Sunday, April 27th. The race will start in Big Sur and end at Rio Road in Carmel. Traffic on Highway 1 will be restricted from 4 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. that Sunday, as one lane of the road will be closed from Sycamore Canyon to Carmel Valley Road. Drivers, for that reason, can expect delays of up to 2 hours as CHP leads caravans in the northbound lane.
Monterey and Santa Cruz counties are healthier than most counties in the state. This according to a recent study from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Monterey County is number 23 out of 58 counties, while Santa Cruz is number 11. Monterey County is tied with 3 other counties for cleanest air. The study says people in both counties were likely to be active. I mean, just look at the beautiful area we live in. Researchers looked at healthy behaviors, quality of care, physical environment, and social and economic factors.
And now some big news from the wireless phone world.
That's right. Smartphone makers and carriers have agreed to add optional kill switches on their cell phones by next summer. This announcement comes as state and federal lawmakers consider passing laws to curb rampant smartphone thefts. The FCC estimates these thefts account for almost 1/3 of U.S. robberies. So this kill switch feature will allow owners to remotely delete data and make their smartphone inoperable if the phone is lost or stolen.
The idea is that thieves won't want to steal phones because they won't have any resale value. Now, it's important to note that these options are relatively passive. The software will be there either for you to download or for you to turn on, but they won't be on automatically.
Phones are expensive these days. I mean, Apple and Samsung already have lock and tracking features installed on their phones.
Still ahead this evening, 2 conjoined twins are finally out of the hospital. The latest on their journey and what their mom says is the best part of their recovery.
Plus, how Paul Walker's brothers are helping his memory live on.
This is Central Coast News, now in high definition.